Alright, today we're going to talk about pulleys and a mechanical advantage with investigation 1. And many of us have already done this investigation with the pulleys in class, so let's recap here. So in this investigation, you were going to examine how pulleys can be used alone, by themselves, or in combination to affect the amount of force needed to lift a load, using a pulley system. So students were to find out that a single pulley does not improve mechanical advantage. It just makes the effort applied, load seem a little less because you're pulling down with gravity instead of trying to lift it up against gravity. However, our second part was we discovered that two pulleys provide a mechanical advantage of 2 because the effort force must be applied over twice the distance in order to gain this mechanical advantage. So it's the same amount of work, but the force you need to put into the machine is less. It's less by half. So let's go on to these are pictures of 3 different pulleys, and we're going to talk about the different types of pulleys now. And a pulley is just a simple machine that has a grooved wheel and holds a rope or a cable, and the load's attached to one end of the rope and the force is applied to the other end. So here's our load, okay, here's our force. You pull down, the load goes up. Okay? So with one pulley, no mechanical advantage, just a mechanical advantage of 1, which means you're not really making the work easier, it's just you can pull down, you're changing the direction. Okay. There are 3 different types though here. So this one's a fixed pulley. This one over here is a movable pulley where you pull up. So here's like a little bar, kind of like a gym if you're at the gym and you're lifting weights. The weight would be here. Okay. The input force would be up here. So as you pull up, the weight goes up. And this one's a combination. Here's a fixed pulley up here attached to the bar and a movable pulley down here, just like the ones we have in class. So let's recap that. Okay, fixed pulley is attached to something that does not move. It allows you to pull down on the rope and lift the load up. A 2-pulley system or movable pulley is a pulley system made by combining a fixed pulley and a movable pulley. Alright, so here we have is our gizmo. And you can get into this as well if you just log into your gizmo. And we're going to experiment, since I can't do it in real life, we're going to do experiment on the computer with 1 and 2 pulley systems. Okay, so here's a fixed pulley. It's attached to the top, and you notice it's 50 Newton. Okay, this is your load force or your output force, because that's what the machine's going to do on the load. And over here, if you look at the graph, this is your height from 0 to 11 meters. Down here is your rope pile. Okay, how much effort distance I'm using. And here's our input force right here, the person who's actually pulling on the rope. So if I have 1 pulley, I get a mechanical advantage of 1. And right here, if I put that newtons in, you can notice that I'm really not moving that yet. I have 31 newtons, I'm not moving. It's not until about 50 newtons that I start to move it. Okay? And at 51 newtons, I'm moving it. And if you notice, the distance I move it is about the same distance as the rope pile. Okay, so it moved almost 9 meters, and the rope pile at the bottom is about 9 meters. So this is why it's mechanical advantage 1. The only advantage here is that I'm pulling down with gravity instead of against gravity, trying to lift it up. So as I pull down, it goes up. If I move to a 1 pulley up here and another pulley down here, so that's a 1-2 pulley system, and I add some more, what do you think is going to happen to the newtons? Do you think I'm going to use the same amount or less? If you said less, you are correct. But there's a trade-off here. So 27 newtons, 26 newtons, right? And I was able to lift the 50 newton mass. It's about half as much force, but I used twice as much distance. 16.8 meters versus the 8.5, 9 meters to lift the load. Okay? So that's the trade-off. Less force, but more distance. I can even go to a 4 pulley system. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I just use a little bit of force, I should only have to use 1/4 of the force that I'm lifting. So about 13, 14, right? That's about 1/4 of the force I'm lifting. Okay? About 12.5, right? 13. And you can see I can lift it. However, look at my rope pile again. 26.8 meters. I've really increased my rope pile because I'm using a much less force, but I have to do it over a greater distance. Okay, so there's a little bit about pulleys, and we're going to move on to our next simple machine next video.